Coming to you live from the Teraja Longhouse over here in Brunei. We are here with the 63rd, count it 63rd edition of Grand Platypus Open, number 63. That's at least twice as many as 7. I'm, of course, the host Yaku of Yakuzaku, and with me today is La Carne Asada Cubierta con la Piña Más Fresca, like _VIP. How we doing, like?
Más fresca, exactly, Yaku. We are here. We are back. Thank you so much. I miss it. I miss it so much. I can't wait to get into some of this oceanic Southeast Asian StarCraft. And mate, this is a matchup that I have not seen in quite some time.
It really is not. We've been teased a couple of times about it when looking at lower, especially the lower sides of a couple of our double elimination brackets. But now we finally get to see it in action. We are here with a PvZ, our Protoss player, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. The pink Protoss player coming out from Australia, representing Fights for Justice. He is StarDuck.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Jagannatha LE, we have the returning player, ex-admin, ex-student. He has the biggest brain. He is also the greatest shark in all of Southeast Asia. He is back representing Downfall Gaming, the FG. It is Demi.
Is he not still both of those things?
I mean, not tonight, all right? Not tonight.
Not tonight. He's got a new identity.
Exactly.
He puts on the cape and hood. He is La Shark.
Puts on the robe, puts on the rosary beads, you know, just...
Puts on the hat. Lights some incense.
Turns into Constantine, mate. There you go. Oh god. But yeah, Demi versus StarDuck. Honestly, I remember like maybe the beginning of the year, these guys faced off a couple of times and Demi would always come out on top, but you know what happens, Yaku? Times change.
That they do. Demi, he hasn't had as much time to continue to practice and make sure his muscle memory is in working order. StarDuck, on the other hand, he has had plenty of time to do so. Exactly. Now might be more important than any. As of course, in just about 2 weeks, or even less than 2 weeks, NZ Champs coming up.
Oh boy. Is it that soon? Is it?
Yeah, 1st of May, according to the website.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
It's getting here very, very soon. And StarDuck, of course, the player who we've seen very consistently, even before the start of 2021. He has been signing up for just about as many of these weekly events as he could get his hands on.
Exactly. Yeah, like StarDuck, he has been on the rise the entire year. He's just been getting better and better and better. Demi is one of those players who he has added to his list of, you know, defeated players, his list that just keeps getting longer and longer. And even getting into this series, you know, a little bit of behind the scenes talk, Demi was not feeling confident.
No, he is not.
Oh god.
Not against Protoss at any rate. And that brings us to another kind of interesting point, is how the playstyle dynamics are going to play out here. Demi, I think we mentioned a lot of times in the past that when it comes to StarDuck, you have to take him out in the early game. If you let the game go on, if you let him get to like 3 bases or something like that, then he is just going to out macro you. But we've seen a lot of Zerg players, Gogo Joey, Mio Micah, just end the game before that happens. Demi, on the other hand, not quite as aggressive. He would much rather go into the mid game and you know, try to macro out from there.
Yeah, I feel like in a lot of ways, StarDuck is the anti-Demi. Like, in a lot of ways, because Demi, as you said, like, he is all about that macro style, and because of that, like, he can struggle a little bit against someone like StarDuck. You were talking about it, like, we cast a lot of me and Micah versus StarDuck, so, oh god, just as that Oracle. barely
Two more hits.
escapes. Yeah. But yeah, because we cast a lot of Miyamika versus StarDuck and Gogojoy versus StarDuck, I feel like it kind of puts StarDuck in a really bad light because he's always dying early. Yeah, like we don't get to see his final form is the thing. And I feel like against Demi, like StarDuck should be able to like show off a little bit and kind of put on display like his entirety or how good he is at this matchup.
Exactly. Show exactly what it is that makes him so feared in the PvZ matchup. And Demi, I mean, just giving him a lot of that opportunity to do so. He's not being overly aggressive here. He is looking to go into Spire, which is what he typically likes to do.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping StarDuck recognizes this.
I mean, Demi is taking all of his gases, right? He's going straight into Lair. He has skipped all of his tech. His Evo chambers are very late. He doesn't have a Roach Warren. I am really curious to see how he does play this out because we haven't seen a lot of Demi. You know, we've seen, I think recently, we've seen a lot of his EVZ because we, there's a lot of Zergs that we cast.
Yeah.
But like, again, like,
this is DVC region.
Ever since Demi came back from his break, because he's been focusing on his studies, like I haven't seen much of his ZVP. I don't really know, does he still play mutas? You know, that's what he was known for last year. What about this year? Oh, I should never have doubted him.
Yeah, that's another Spire on the way, and it's kind of interesting how this could play out. I think normally if I was looking at a StarDuck game and I was seeing the Zerg player go for a Spire like this, I would say, no, this is the last thing you want to do against a Stargate player like StarDuck, right? Somebody who's just going to be pumping out so many Phoenixes. But StarDuck, actually very early on, working on his gateway transition. He's up to 5 gateways at the moment.
Oh yeah, that he is. He's still working on the next tech as well. Like, we do have a Twilight Council on the way, we have a Forge on the way, but the game may not even last that long. Like, Demi was being so greedy, taking up to Lair, up to Spire, where he just barely has an army.
Did StarDuck just pull a bit of a Go-Go Joey here, Light? Are we seeing the tables turn? StarDuck hitting such a great timing over here, anti-timing even, before Demi can get much of any useful tech out. He has a bit of a defensive force. These Zerglings, man, trapped in the force fields. Demi had a bit of a defensive force.
He did. He did.
So sure.
We'll see. I mean, Demi was forced to make Roaches, and you know what? The Roaches are coming out. As good as Stalkers are against Roaches, like, there's no Immortals. There's only 1 sentry remaining. Like, StarDuck, I don't think he has enough to kill here, but he doesn't mean to kill. Like, he has upgrades. He's working on the next stage of the game.
Yeah, maybe if he had Blink, then he could really close things out. But even without it, he's still in a pretty fine position right now. As you said, just getting his upgrades on the way, working on that next phase where he can go in with a second wave of attack.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, again, I was almost about to say that I feel like StarDuck may have stumbled upon a victory, like, unintentionally. Like, he was just like,
really
like,
went away, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna like apply some pressure at the 4th. Oh my, I killed the 4th. Oh my, I'm just gonna keep going into the night. Like, things just kept escalating.
And delay the 4th again.
Yeah, exactly. And now StarDuck is going across the map, and this is scary because Demi is investing a lot in these mutas, right? We have 6 mutas on the way. We have +1 air attack, and mate, there's Mass Stalker here. We're about to be Blink and +1.
Basically the last thing you want to see, even when you go into a full apocalypse of mutas. Demi forces to cancel the 4th base once again, and now he's really got to scramble. He's really got to make sure that he is in the most perfect defensive position and just try to bait StarDuck into him, which is going to be a lot more difficult now that Blink is done.
Exactly. To be fair, StarDuck is taking a little bit of time to really push in, so Demi, he's had a lot of time to morph in more Ravagers, to morph in more Lings, more Mutas. We'll see if he's going to be able to hold on here. It's still going to be very difficult. Yo, his Evo chambers are incredibly exposed.
Incredibly, and he's actually getting +1 melee. I feel like Demi might be thinking a little bit too far ahead over here. That's going to pick up for him really well if he can hold here, but I'm not convinced he can. Not when StarDuck is applying this much pressure this well.
Exactly. We do see the Evo chamber was taken out. It looks like the Immortal is a little bit exposed. Ooh, and StarDuck takes a lot of bounce to the face. At the same time, the Mutas were actually trying to counterattack, but they're fighting Stalkers. They're dying.
Yeah, no cannon over here that's available. Demi forced to pull the boys, and this is looking to be it here, Light.
Yeah.
StarDuck can't stumble upon that victory. Oh! Maybe if he can get a War Prism. No, he has no army.
I mean, StarDuck, he was forced to unsiege his War Prism because of these Ravagers, and even if the War Prism falls, that's great and all, but you know what? All the Ravagers are dead. The Lings are running low as well. Like, StarDuck may end it here. Demi's trying to hold on.
And he actually does, by the skin of his teeth. Ooh. He's not too far behind either in the work account. While all this was going on, he finished up his 4th baseline. I thought Demi was looking a little too far ahead, but actually, he was looking at a clear path to victory.
Yeah, that he was, but god, like Demi, he had a lot of losses there. It is really great that he did get his 4th up. Like it would have been disastrous if Demi was still on 3 bases. But StarDuck, he has the worker lead. Like 3 bases against 4 bases of Zerg, like it's still pretty good for the Protoss player. I will say that Demi, he sustained just so many losses there. Not just like here on his side of the map, but he lost a lot of mutas as well when he went for that counterattack.
Oh, that he did. Unit's loss is not really looking in Demi's favor at the moment, at least when it comes to minerals. Now, I do like how Demi is continuing to play this out, though. Just buy himself some time, you know. Prevent StarDuck from evening out the base count here and just get to, again, that next phase attack.
Yeah, exactly. Demi's doing whatever he can. I mean, at least he does have eyes on the 4th base, and he should be droning up. He is droning up a little bit. He's still not at the worker count that he would like to be at. But very interesting, Demi. He is switching gears. He is switching into Ling Bane and Muta.
Yeah, well, I guess he feels confident enough now that he doesn't need to defend against any other pushes. He sees that StarDuck is getting that 4th base, which means that he's looking to focus a bit more on his macro. So Demi's just, again, feeling comfortable enough to tech up and get the upgrades he needs. Massive depowerment over here. Almost half the gateways and 1 of the stargates. Meanwhile, a huge Ling run by. Not gonna get too much done as long as this shield battery's up, but just as I say that, the shield battery goes down and these probes are looking in a mighty tough position here.
Yeah.
Immediately looking at splash damage on the Mutas light.
I mean, Demi is just pulling. He's just pulling StarDuck apart here. Unfortunately, StarDuck, he pulled his entire army to defend against the Mutas, even though he had Zealots. And if he had kept his Zealots at his 3rd base, then he would have been able to defend against the Ling run by. And now things have suddenly swinged in Demi's favor. The entire mineral line went down for StarDuck. Not just that, but the 4th goes down as well. Like StarDuck, he's on 2 base economy.
Demi went from almost dying to becoming a god in the span of about 2 minutes in this game. Jesus.
Not even, mate. And honestly, it was all with mutas, to be honest. Like, the muta cloud has gotten big enough, and this is what we know Demi for, right? His muta control. And as we can see, it doesn't matter if he's been out of practice for a couple of months, like, he's still got it, mate.
It's natural. It is instinct for him, pretty much. Once you get these fundamentals down, it does not go away.
Yeah, exactly. Now we do see StarDuck. He's pushing into the natural base of Demi. Meanwhile, Demi is just going across the map. We are going full base trade.
Yeah, or maybe even a bit of a pseudo base trade. I think that StarDuck does have about enough. As long as he recognizes that there is a 4th base and where it is, he might have enough to win the base trade. I think Demi really needs to turn around.
We'll see. I mean, StarDuck, I believe he's very limited when it comes to the buildings he has available to him, so I'm a little bit concerned that StarDuck may just lose all his buildings before he takes care of everything. StarDuck is dealing a lot of damage. Ooh, he does get on top of all this stack defense before it finishes.
And this is absolutely massive. Just denying this damage from being taken right now. Now, Demi has evacuated his drones very, very quickly, and he's looking for a place to throw down a bit of a replacement hatchery. You don't want to lose these drones, Demi!
Oh god, Demi though, he's coming back with his mutas, and his mutas are gonna have a field day with all these stalkers. These stalkers are no long for this world. Unfortunately, the Archons, they went home. They were not here to protect the stalkers, and they all go down.
Just like so. A lot of zealots in the main base here has taken out just about all of the tech here for Demi, aside from Aspire, funnily enough, but I still think Demi just has the much better army right now. As long as he is able to magic box against those Archons, not take too much splash damage, and I mean, even then he can have the Zerglings there to tank some volleys.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Demi losing this game.
The army movement has not been ideal for StarDuck, and there we go. We do have the magic box on top of everything. The mutas are gonna clean up, and GG gets called.
That game was a lot closer than it should have been.
Oh god.
But I'm not complaining.
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of excitement coming down.
StarDuck knew the position he was in. He knew that he had to send some units home, otherwise he would just lose all his buildings. Like, that's what the Lings were doing. Unfortunately, he decided to send his Archons back home, and he left his Stalkers exposed. And maybe if StarDuck's entire army was together, he would have been able to maybe win a fight against the Mutas, but because he was split up, then the Mutas could just deal with one threat, and then the other.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of get the sort of rationale StarDuck had there. He was thinking, okay, these Archons, they're very immobile. They have a lot of splash damage, a lot of damage output, but they're very mobile. They're probably better as a bit of a defensive unit. To make sure that one of my Nexuses survives. Meanwhile, my more mobile units, my Stalkers and my Zealots, I'm going to try to clear out as many buildings as I can. In the end, though, Demi also kind of recognized that and was able to position his army in such a way that he just took out the pockets of army that StarDuck had, till eventually was able to secure that. But again, a much closer game than I was really expecting, especially after that first push came down from StarDuck.
Exactly.
It really looked like he was going to clinch that victory, but Demi, he's a survivor.
He is. I mean, he's a very experienced player, and despite being in a really bad position, he was able to just hang in there, as you said, by the skin of his teeth, and really get back.
And
oh boy.
And he had the foresight to recognize, okay, I can't just hold here. I also need to make sure that I'm not too far behind economically. Just took that fourth base in a position he knew StarDuck didn't have eyes on.
Yeah. I do think that obviously the biggest thing was even despite getting that fourth base and stuff, StarDuck was in a really good position. Things went awfully for StarDuck when he tunnel visioned a little bit too much on the Mutas, and as we saw, his entire army was kind of following the Mutas around, and it left his third base completely exposed. And then after he lost that entire mineral line, I mean, that was kind of it, mate. Like, ugh.
Oh dear. But hopefully he does recognize that, and hopefully we get to see an ace match coming out here. If this series goes anything like game number 1, this could just fuel the entire evening. I would not mind that. We do have a double elimination bracket today.
We definitely do. So rematches are definitely possible. Meanwhile, speaking of, I do want to give a massive shout out to Lord Loken in the chat for resubbing for 9 months in a row.
All right, how are we doing these quacks?
Quack. Is that 3?
That's 3.
Quack, quack, quack.
Quack, quack. 9 months in a row. Definitely also appreciate the Matcherino helpings as well, Lord Loken. Unfortunately, seems to be a bit of an issue with the code this evening, so yeah, I can't actually use it yet. But regardless, we are going to have a series on our hands here, continuing on Romanticide. LE, of course, standing for Lovers Esperanto. Lovers Esperanto. That's when you develop the language Esperanto. In the bottom right-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the bottom right-hand corner, the pink Protoss player coming down from the Sydney Arbor, almost missing the tournament by just a few short minutes. But thankfully he is, we are able to see what he's got today, representing Fight for Justice. He is StarDuck.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Romanticide LE. LE, of course, I thought you were going to go for Lovers Esperanza, of course. That is when you are Vortex and you watch way too many telenovelas. Calling you out. Oh my, we have the Indian Zerg player currently getting cannon rushed by his opponents. He is, of course, representing Downfall Gaming, DFG. It is Demi.
What? How have you practiced your cannon rush defense, Demi? That's all I've got to say. StarDuck, he has layers to his cannon rushes. He's like an onion.
Or a cake.
Or a cake, yeah.
There's a lot of layers to this man. Cake. There you go. There you go. As he does force a cancel at the natural. Again, as a reminder, there's still a gateway and a Nexus. I believe was it Nexus Forge or Forge Nexus? I wasn't quite paying attention.
We're gonna build order later on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because as a result, it was an economic forge, an economic cannon rush, if you will, which isn't overly committed.
Yeah, mostly just here to secure a bit of a lead here for the Protoss player, a bit of a delay for the Zerg player. And after just throwing down a single cannon, StarDuck is satiated. He knows that Demi is going to be behind for quite a while, and not just in getting his natural base up here at the third base location, but also it's going to take quite a bit to clear out that cannon in the actual natural position as a probe actually still stands there.
Oh yeah. It's quite possible for StarDuck to throw down a pylon, maybe throw down a gateway and actually apply some pressure across the map. There's a lot of possibilities here for StarDuck. And as you were saying, like, the biggest thing with this is that this third base for Demi is so delayed. He would have loved to have had it by now, but he has to be so careful with it because of this cannon rush. Very nicely done by
I think
StarDuck.
this is timed correctly for Demi. Yep, the cannon will go down before taking out the hatchery.
Yeah, thankfully. Oh my god, Demi even forced to throw down his spine. Oh, that's not ideal.
He's super scared right now.
Yeah.
And now it's really on StarDuck to just do what he will with disadvantage.
And we'll see how far he goes, because right now we do see a Stargate being thrown down for StarDuck. I would love a double Stargate play. Again, especially because we were talking about Demi, and unlike Miyamika, unlike Gogo Joey, unlike even Oreo, I don't know if Demi is the kind of person to go for some kind of timing attack, like some kind of like German taxi or like Hydra timing to try and end the game early. I feel like double Stargate play would work pretty well, especially because if you scout Demi going for a Spire, then you can just switch to double Stargate Phoenix.
Yeah, and it's a pretty safe bet that Demi will switch to Spire if the game goes on for long enough.
Yeah, it's what we know him for, and that's why I was pleasantly surprised when I saw it in game one. It's like, oh, this is the Demi of old, you know. This is we know
what
him.
We want to see. Yeah.
It was great to see.
And it does definitely seem like Demi, at least in the first couple of weeks when he had time off of uni to play more, to ladder more and to compete more, he has just sort of been doing, things that he enjoyed doing. He wasn't really too focused on what the meta was looking like. He was like, nah. Let me do my own thing, what I want to do. Then I'll worry about metagaming it.
Yeah, there are quite a decent amount of players who do that, to their success or failure. That's what they decide to do. That could be as to why Demi may be having a harder time against Protoss on the ladder. Who's to say? But we'll see what he has in store for us. He does have the Lair on the way, as well as all his gases. I wouldn't be surprised if he went for Spire again, but he may surprise us.
Yeah, he might surprise us with a 6-minute infestation pit. Who knows? It's possible.
Yeah.
That's pneumatized carapace he's going for. Tropalords?
Maybe. I'm thinking so, because there we go. +1 range is on the way, and so is that Glyvery Constitution. Because +1 range is on the way, like, obviously that affects queens as well. We could see a bit of a queen push. Yeah. It's possible.
Yeah, I think you were talking about it just a little while ago, Light. This is looking like the classic German taxi from a couple months ago.
Yeah. We'll wait and see if Demi makes more queens, because that is definitely something that he's lacking right now, if he did want to go for something like that. So that's the only thing that's kind of, got me questioning it a little bit if he does go for it. Oh no, there we go.
The Spire as well, though. Okay, so he's going for +1 range with Glyvery Constitution. Maybe the Spire is just there for harass. Maybe he doesn't want to dedicate too much into mutas. Or maybe it's an insurance Spire?
Yeah, we'll see. Like, because he's committing to the Roach tech, it is a little bit odd. Because again, Roaches, they cost gas. So you don't get to make as many mutas as you would like. Especially when you morph them into Ravagers like this. But it's Demi we're talking about, and he loves his mutas.
Yeah, he will find a use for them, even if it's not what wins him the game. He will still use these mutas to harass a little bit, contribute a little bit to an eventual victory, but what can I say? The man likes his mutas.
And something that's very important is that even though StarDuck did go for an Oracle, he has not been into the main base at all. He has zero scouting information. He doesn't know what kind of tech Demi is going for. To be fair, because it is Demi, you can make some assumptions, and you know, you can assume, hey, he's probably going to go Spire again. I mean, this push from StarDuck, like, he's got a couple of Archons with this. Like, this can deal a lot of damage.
This can do a lot of damage to Mutas, though. Against Roaches, not so much. You can volley a couple of splash attacks, but that's not really going to be what kills Roaches over here. It is all about the Chargelets, which immediately gets taken out, and the Void Ray, which is in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like the Void Ray will take out the Queen, so nicely done. He does take out the anti-air, but there's just so much Red Ravager on the ground. Like, this is terrifying for StarDuck, and what's worrying to me is that, like, StarDuck sees this ground army, and he may just, like, hard focus on, like, trying to counter that instead of the eventual Mutas, and the switch will come. Like, Demi's investing in +1 fire attack.
And that's the real reason we saw Demi go for the Spire earlier on, because he has been playing 4D chess the entire time.
He's just waiting. He's waiting for the opportunity to go for that switch. Like, look how much gas Demi's banking up. Like, he has a massive bank right now.
Just waiting for that larva.
Yeah. He's waiting for the opportunity to just make nothing but mutas.
Hold down the Tiki. Yeah.
It's disgusting.
And look at the unit StarDuck's got right now. It's mostly Chargelets. He is getting Storm, which could be a saving grace over here. A couple of well-placed ones will evaporate the Mutalisk, but again, this is Demi we're talking about, the premier Mutalisk player from the region. If this man doesn't know how to control against Storms, I don't know who does. Maybe Jim. Right?
Exactly. maybe.
It's a big if.
Oh god, they're both connoisseurs when it comes to Muta. I would love to see them kind of put to the test in that respect to see who's better. I love that idea. But regardless, here they go. The Mutas are out on the map, and StarDuck has no idea. He has not seen this at all. Not an inkling. Oh god, the run by gets dealt with, and this random Immortal will see
he'll notice it, yeah. And the Immortal's thinking, oh, if only I could shoot into the sky.
Oh boy, and I don't even know if StarDuck even paid attention and saw it. I mean, now he knows. Aye.
Yeah, he has got to be well aware right now. He is utilizing that super battery, and he's got plenty of anti-air in that base. Meanwhile, over here in Demi's side of the map, it is mostly Roach Ravager. War Prism gets taken out, and that is the sustainability of StarDuck's push taken away. But does he need it? He's storming his own Archons here. Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, the storm actually didn't land on any of the army of Demi, and sure, StarDuck is pushing on forward, but StarDuck, he just lost everything at his third base once again, and the Mutas, they're coming back home.
Turning around just to nail the rest of StarDuck's army over here, and once that's taken out, I mean, what can StarDuck create right now? He is very quickly running out of gas. GG is called, and Demi. Oh my, Demi. He knew what we wanted to see when we casted him. What a victory here. GG, well played. Honestly, a very close series, especially that game number one, but I think once Demi was able to suss out how StarDuck wanted to play out, or how StarDuck kind of wanted to play out his versus Demi games, he just completely mind-gamed him.
Exactly. Like, StarDuck, honestly, there's a world out there where StarDuck did win game number one, and we would be going to the ace match. Like, oh god, like StarDuck, he was so close, I believe twice, like in that first game, where he could have maybe won the entire thing, but maybe he wasn't decisive enough. Maybe you could definitely argue, like, when he was going for that first attack in game number one, we were talking about how he was investing in like the later stages with like Blink and +1 and Forge and all that stuff. Like, you could argue, maybe if he wasn't, and maybe if he threw down like an extra gateway or something and just focused on Stalker production, maybe he would have won. You know, there's like a couple of things here and there.
Yeah, potentially. I do think that regardless, StarDuck was, in my opinion, doing the right thing, where it was like, okay, I'm delaying the economy this much, but I don't quite have my upgrades yet, so I'll take the little victories over here and then regroup for a second wave. But Demi holding so well against that second wave and thinking ahead. Once that kind of fell down for StarDuck, it did really look like he faltered and thought, oh, what do I do now?
Yeah, exactly. And there in game number 2, those mutas completely catching StarDuck off guard. Like, he did not have an answer to the mutas whatsoever. GG, well played, and I'm just happy to see Demi doing well here. Like, again, he himself didn't have too much confidence, so it's great to see him back in form, being able to take down someone like StarDuck.
He's leapt into the atmosphere, and he swallowed a duck. Now, he's gonna have to wait a little while for his next meal, though.
Exactly, and I'm a little bit worried because it's a meal that has more often than not eaten him.
Yeah.
We may be getting
Joey's being herbivorous.
Yeah, not this one, mate. Not the Joys from Hong Kong.
They have a taste of seafood.
They love it, mate. They love it.